Welcome back to MMA Sucka Fight fans. My name's Nate Freeman. I'm joined today by Tai Emery, who is fighting at BKFC Thailand 3 on September 3rd. Tai, how are you doing today?
G'day, mate. Doing good. Just got home from training. So, yeah, honestly, I'm feeling good. Next week's the big day. So I'm really excited. This has been a long time coming.
Absolutely. I was about to ask that. It has been a while since you stepped into a ring or cage. How are you feeling about finally being able to get back in there?
Honestly, I'm anticipating it. I'm just so excited. I think we're all coming out of COVID, so this is such an interesting time for anyone like getting their first fights back in. Lucky for me, I've been out in Phuket, so I've gone from living in the jungle. I've done the stadium circuit. I've fought Thailand's 130-pound best #1 Muay Thai fighter. I'm at Tiger Muay Thai, where I literally have like top contenders. Everyone's like a top 5 fighter of their division. So I've definitely had the best preparation. And yeah, the girl that I'm going to be fighting, it has nothing on the girls that I've been sparring. I was also super lucky to have Italy's best boxer over here, and I believe she was like a 145-pounder as well. So yeah, I'm feeling super prepared. This is a BKFC, so anything can happen. I can't take the luck of the draw away. But this is, definitely super excited.
Yeah, you mentioned your opponent, Rung-Arun Khunchai, I believe is her name. Talk to me about what you see in her game. If there's anything that you're on the lookout for. It's obviously your BKFC debut as well, so you're going into an entirely new sport. So give me your thoughts on entering BKFC and your opponent.
Well, for one, my opponent, there is no way, if you've ever been to Thailand, you know that you can never find any of the Thais. You can never find footage of them. They change their names. They stay hidden. They've usually had 80 to 200 fights, and even then you still can't find like any video evidence on them. So for me, the only way you can get any kind of information is by knowing the right Thai who's obviously grown up here and has been through the gym circuit and has lived from gym to gym and been card holders. So I was really lucky just to learn that she's from Chiang Mai. She's had 80 Muay Thai fights, not a boxer, but everyone knows that Muay Thai is one of the hardest striking martial arts that there is. So you really have to give credit for that. Also in BKFC, it is a single arm clinch. So Thais are a part of the clinch game. I think the best thing and the worst thing is that she is a Muay Thai fighter, so she will be very disciplined. She's had 80 fights, and you can always feel that in anyone's game when they've had more experience. But I think that being her strength is also her weakness, because she's going to be so disciplined in Muay Thai. And like you said, BKFC is a brand new sport. I'm coming from football. I've definitely got boxer hands, and I really feel that I'm designed for BKFC. I really feel that this sport is for me. I'm coming from being a defense all-star from the LFL. So what that is, I was a #1 defense tackler. Not saying I'm going to tackle her, but it does show like the level of aggression and I guess violence, and just being able to look in football. There's fighting still as well, but I feel that being able to use and adapt different skills from the sports that I've been in will help me, rather to go in a bit more clear-minded rather than being a strict Muay Thai fighter. I also was doing MMA, so I've just had a different journey that has led to the here and now, and so I feel that that's my strength, and also my weakness is having lack of fights compared to other girls. But honestly, I've played hundreds and hundreds of games of football, so at least this time I know the girl's going to punch me. In all the other in the football games, you never knew that you're going to get punched. You just had to eat it.
So to be clear, for fans that don't know, with the accent, you would assume when she says football, you may think I'm an American. You may think soccer. But she means American gridiron football. She was a linebacker, I believe, in the Legends Football League. And we can talk more about that later. But you mentioned getting punched in the face. Were there like sucker punches and stuff like that in the football games?
100%. That's why people came to the games, because and being in the live audience, you were able to see things that they wouldn't edit out. In most of the games that went to air, they usually put maybe one or two of the fights that would go down, but most times, every single down, there was a fight. It was crazy to me, because so obviously I'm defense, I'm only tackling. Just I don't know, just the intensity and level of like fights that would happen after that from the offense. They'd be like, "Why did you tackle me?" And you'd be thinking, "Bitch, I'm fucking here to tackle you. That's the only thing I do. Why are you taking this so personal?" So we were wearing ice hockey helmets. So a lot of the time you'd be eating punches just under the screen of the ice hockey helmet, or you'd be getting kneed while you're like stuck in, if we were playing inside, like indoor arenas, you'd be getting stuck between the foam, and girls would just be coming over and either clocking you in the face, nipple cripples, and usually knees to the ribs. So, it was definitely interesting, but fights, to be honest, before the games even started, we would have the owner let us know that it was like pushed. So they would want us to fight. It was entertainment. This was an entertainment sport.
Is that how you got into training for Muay Thai and all the striking arts and everything, is to be better in the LFL?
Exactly, because it was a linebacker. Once I started getting more into the game, I grew up playing touch football, rugby league, rugby union, which was easy to adapt that to the American football style. Really, now I just have to tackle someone and they call a play and I run to that point and smash something if it's there. Very easy. And so what I found was, being a linebacker, just being, 1 or 2 yards off, I found all of a sudden I'm hands are flying, and I thought, what can I do to make myself more efficient and be better at this? And so I started doing just boxing stuff, just so I could get used to that fast, the hands being in my face so easily and so fast. And it really made for defense, it really made like the game so much easier. So that's where for me, it was more just like wanting to adapt and be better at performing on the field. And that's what started me with boxing. And obviously I enjoyed it. I always did boxing and wrestling to help me, because I was one of the smallest girls. So I needed to make sure that I could tackle a girl. I think I pushed it to 88 kilos, but these girls were like pumping 100 kilos. So you're tackling someone with an extra 20 kilos. This is a lot of muscle. So I have a good form tackle because of rugby union and rugby league, but having just like the adaptation with the wrestling, hip tosses, I really found that was making like plays way easier to get like large girls down. So that's really where my journey started with the boxing. But outside of that, it was actually Misha Tate who got me into a females like up and coming sort of group with her and Robert Follis. So it was Misha Tate who actually got me into the actual fighting aspect. So yeah, there's a lot of days I thank Misha for believing in me and letting me, allowing me to, I guess, plant the seed to come into fighting. But yeah, once I got really into it, there was no turning back. It's an addiction.
How was that connection made with Misha Tate? Was she, I assume she wasn't doing anything with the LFL. Did you just have some gym connections, or how was that made?
We did strength and conditioning out of Las Vegas. So I didn't really know who it was. I just could look beside me and I thought, man, this chick's badass. And usually I'm the only chick in the gym as well, like the only female in the gym. So I was super excited just to see another female who was also muscular and fit as well. So that's where I met Misha, was just in a strength and conditioning gym.
Nice. So tell me, you mentioned that you weren't necessarily seeing punches coming in the LFL, and that sort of helps you prepare for getting punched in actual sports where you're not actual sport, in sports where you're actually planning to get punched. Is there anything else that you can translate from the LFL to the martial arts?
Really, I think it's dedication. Football is you have to be dedicated and you have to be athletic. So you've got other footballers like Eric Anders. They've gone from being, an American footballer and being able to apply that athleticism and that toughness into martial arts. Obviously, there's a whole world of technique, but once you have those base movements, whether it's in the weights room or just being able to be coachable and learn, you can really take a lot of those things when you're born and genetically as an athlete. I really feel like there's different levels of fighters. I feel like everyone can be born a fighter, but I feel like some people are the athlete fighter, and then I feel like you have people who are like those just crazy fighters who have no athleticism about them but spent their entire life doing jiu-jitsu, or there's just different ways to approach and look at each fighter. And I guess when you're creating your little fighter on the video games where you have to choose speed, agility, you've got to really think about all those sort of things. But I feel like as a footballer, it's the athleticism and it's the heart to never be giving up, and we've got strong noggins.
You broke up there that last bit. You said strong noggins. Was there anything after that?
No.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, so then I think from what I've been told, I think you're the only fighter that I know that has been signed specifically with guaranteed fights in BKFC Thailand and the main promotion BKFC. Obviously, Fanny Palumpi is fighting in BKFC, but I don't know that was originally guaranteed in her contract. How did that come about where you were guaranteed fights in both the American promotion and the Thai promotion?
Well, the American one came about because I had my now Remington Steele from Ruby's management team, sports and entertainment team. He reached out to me. Now, at the time, I thought it was a literal joke because I had decided maybe 2 weeks earlier, I'd seen the sport, I'd been really wanting to get into it, and I felt that for where I'm at in my skill level, and I guess sort of my personality, I don't like to be restricted. I like to be able to be free in speaking my own opinion, and from watching BKFC, I felt that could be, well, not could be, I believe that it is the sport where I can just genuinely be myself. So I had Remington reach out to me. I remember telling him to fuck off and just thought that this was just some joke, because I thought, how the hell? I literally just thought about this. I really wanted this, and now all of a sudden they're calling me. So it took them to get David Feldman to send me a message and then get on the phone to let me know that this was real and this was really happening and that they wanted me on the show. So I can't even. That's how it happened. They reached out to me. They found me and signed me for 4 fights with the BKFC America. Now with Thailand, obviously they've sold the franchise, so this is still under the umbrella with David Feldman's one with America, because they still stream on the BKFC TV app, but it has the owners under Thailand, so they have additional owners who have bought out the franchise and started it out here in Thailand. Now we also have just struck a TV deal with Southeast Asia, I think it is, going on free to air with them. But all I did was, once I saw that they were having a show, I really thought, okay, well, I'm already signed with BKFC, then I should really be going to these shows. I should be supporting. They were having tryouts across the country, and I wanted to go down and just support. I think anyone in my sort of position, you're meant to be, you're a part of a family now. This is my job. This is my passion. So that's really how that came about, was just me wanting to be involved and wanting to support, no matter the branch. It's still the label and it's still the brand. And I wanted to make sure that I was supporting. After meeting with Nick Chapman, they flew me down there. They looked after me. And that's when I approached him and I thought, okay, so I've already got the 4 fights here. Why not be able to support, and why not be able to fight out here in Thailand, and have additional fights to my contract as well. I'm living out here. It's easy for me to get to. And I think that's a cool storyline, I started out here through the jungle in Thailand, and to be able to start and kick off my career by fighting for BKFC Thailand, even with David Feldman flying over to watch it, I think that's even cooler. Yeah, I think that's a good storyline and how to bring me in. I think that's how the storyline is going down. But really, it's just self-initiative and being at the right place at the right time and actually supporting. And I feel that that's how that's kind of come about. I think after seeing the guys who fought in London and they fought, you know, like James Lillard, he fought on the London card, he fought in the American card. I think it won't take long for a lot of fighters to start realizing that we can travel and be under the same branch. I think, you know, more fights, more money, more exposure, more support. It creates a good storyline. It's entertainment. People forget that we're not just out there creating blood violently beautiful art. It's a storyline. They want to see like what we're doing. They want to see how we're adapting. And each of the shows will just get bigger and bigger outside of America.
Yeah, and oh my goodness, BKFC Thailand has grown so much so fast. Like the December show, their first show,
Oh
was
my God.
going from that to do what?
We've gone from the first show being just like a showcase, and now we've signed Borkow and Sanchai. So I think that also shows that David Feldman is seeing the investment and the heart of Nick Chapman and the rest of the owners golf here in Thailand. They're seeing that they're wanting to make this, you know, they're wanting to make this explode. And I think having each of the branches want to do that, it can just show why BKFC is the number one leading, like, growing combat sport in the game right now. We've got like WWE elements, we've got football elements, we've got way more blood. We've got characters who, I don't know, I like to say it, if anyone who's like a comic book fan, there's this one poster, and I loved it growing up as a kid, and it had all the X-Men and all the goody two-shoes on one side, and then on the other, a lot of the villains or so-called villains on the other, and they're running at each other. And that's how I like to look at BKFC versus the world, like BKFC versus One Championship, UFC, Bellator. I feel like they've found the characters that are a little bit different. You know, we don't want to be muted. We've probably said and done things that don't align with how people can say, oh, you're not a true martial artist. Well, martial artists come from a million different backgrounds and speak a million different languages. And some of them say way more curse words and come from, you know, not the best upbringings, as do most. But yeah, I really feel that BKFC has found like the correct characters who none of them want to be muted, and they want their voices to be even louder. And I think for a lot of us, we don't realize that people like want to stare at us the most in the room anyway. And it's probably just because we're dancing on a table, and to us, we think that's normal, but we forget that to normal people that, you know, we're just being crazy.
Yeah, and they're working so hard. Like I do a lot of work with Nick Chapman with BKFC Thailand, and I am 12 hours behind Thailand, and sometimes I forget when I reach out to him that it's like 2 a.m. for him, and he will still reply right away. It's so weird. He basically never sleeps, and he just works so hard. So shout out to Nick.
Yeah, I agree. Nick, you're the man. He like can live off 4 hours. He just had his first kid. The guy, yeah, he lives, breathes, and just is about this sport. He's so passionate. When I first got to meet him, I knew I was going to have like just the same sort of vibe and frequency. We're both super intense. You know, you can blow the lid when people aren't being professional, but he's an amazing character. And man, the guy's so tall and just holds that presence. Like you can see that he was a fighter as well. So you can see he's taken stuff from his own journey, and then to be able to apply it into something where, you know, he loves when people are just themselves. And he loves when people want to like help build things. So I've been so lucky to be able to be linked in with Thailand, and also know that I'm going to be able to build the Thailand show and be able to travel in between my home base, because I love to be able to train here in Phuket, and I'm lucky enough to still have gyms and homes from my 5 or 6 years that I did in America as well. So I think it'll be just very interesting to be able to branch them together and use the profile to just bring, I guess, more shine to both America and Thailand.
Absolutely. And in the third show, you're doing a stadium show at Rajadamnern. I still butcher that name, but and females are just now being able to compete at
Yeah,
that stadium.
yeah.
How's it feel to be one of the first women to compete there?
Honestly, it's such a good feeling. At the same time, I've always been in these positions where I'm so super lucky and blessed. And for other people who know the history and live, breathe, whether it's AFL football, whether it's fighting, whether it's being at the UFC PI meeting, like the best of the best fighters, whether it's fighting in this stadium in Phuket, not in Phuket, sorry, in Rajadamnern Stadium in Bangkok. This is like history in the making. And so I think when you're in that present moment, you really just have to take like all of that in. So knowing that I'm one of the first, like this is what my whole life has been about. I was the first female electrical contractor. I was the first female thermographer. I got to travel overseas and become the best tackler in the world. Like these are, I guess, notches that I love to collect on my belt, and it's that movement of like true girl power, but also just like who gives a fuck if I got tits? Like who cares about that shit? Like there is no difference. I'm gonna put on a show the same as the men, and try and bring, I guess, that sort of how people are gonna think I'm disrespectful and in whatever I do and say. So I don't know. I think, yeah, being able to make history in the making, like there's going to be a lot of girls and a lot of females and a lot of women who can now understand like all it takes is one. It takes one to change, and it takes people, monkey see, monkey do. Like people just need to see that someone else is doing it, and that's how you plant the seed for them to go, hey, I can do that too, and they can. So I think that shows huge movements for Thailand as well, to be allowing like these sorts of things to happen. There's going to be a lot of energy. There's going to be a lot of the spirit of Muay Thai is really strong, and for anyone who's done the Y crew before a Muay Thai fight, like you can really feel that intensity. So I think, yeah, I'm honored, mate. I'm super honored. I'm honored to be able to be the face of that. I'm honored. I'm honored in every single way.
Yeah, that's just an incredible opportunity, and I
For
would
sure.
love to go over there and see a show at that stadium at some point. Um, so you mentioned, you're a model as well. You have an OnlyFans and all of that. So you are very confident in yourself and very body positive, I
Of
would
course.
say.
Yeah, of
Yeah.
course.
Was
And I can
that
back it up because I'm a badass and I've worked a man's job. So I really feel like I tick all the boxes. For a lot of people, like I said, I understand it can make people feel uncomfortable when there's someone who doesn't want to fit into the stereotype of anything, because I wear so many different hats. And I think that's important for people to see that, yeah, someone can be body confident and someone can be a woman. And, like I'm a woman, hear me roar, but I can do everything like anyone else can do. Like,
was that always the case though? Is that I know here in America, almost every young woman has dealt with comparison issues where they look at these glorified images of like models and things like that, and they look in the mirror and it's not, and they don't like what they see. Is that something that you struggled with early on, or have you always just been super confident in yourself and in your body that was never an issue?
I think maybe at one stage, maybe when I was like 17 years old or 18 years old, I remember being jealous of the Pussycat Dolls. And I remember thinking, oh my gosh, my boyfriend is watching this video clip. Oh, he's gonna, just feeling silly about it. And I think after a few weeks, I went back to work and I'm digging trenches, and, it just kind of dawned on me. And I thought that was the silliest thing for me to even worry about. if I wasn't happy with how I looked, I just thought I can do something about it. I can work, just like the same as this trench that needs to be dug. Like, guess what? I can hate it, or I can figure it out and just move forward and dig that trench. And I've always been body positive, and I guess I'm lucky, I'm blessed, I've got great genetics. I can't take, any of that. But I really do believe that every woman is beautiful, and so is every man, like everyone has their own things that just make them shine. Whether you got a dad bod, whether you've got a six pack, whether you've got fake boobs, no boobs, everyone has something, and everyone shines. I just think that's crazy. I've always been supportive of all my friends. I think it's really important to always be positive in those sorts of ways, because it's really just it's an onion layer. Like, if somebody's having image problems, that's not even usually the problem. It's usually something else at the core of it. So I like human psychology, and I like to be able to help people in a million sorts of things. And a lot of the time it just starts with making people look in the mirror and say, like, I love you, to themselves. I think we really forget that. And yes, of course, as a model, do I feel bad that I've set this beauty standard? But it's it's still art. Like, a magazine is art. Like, there's Photoshop, there's all these other things that come into play for that. So at the same time, I love being female, and I love being feminine, and I loved being able to be a model and being able to experience those things. So I wouldn't want to take that away from me. But sometimes the most beautiful moment, like when you see people, is when they're just doing something that they're passionate about, whether that's them fishing off a boat or lifting weights or reading even a book. Sometimes you can just see people in their own element, and that's just as beautiful too.
Absolutely. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. And you said that, you mentioned something about your body and being a model is a form of art, and you're adding art to your body by, I guess, embracing your Maori heritage. I think when I talked to Nick about you, he said that you were transitioning into becoming a Maori, but I'm not sure that yeah, he said it really weird, but that's not something that you transition to. That's like something that you're sort of born into, right?
You're born into. I think what he's more trying to say is, because I've done some collaborations with some Maori tattoo artists, and this is called Tamoko, and the Maori, we wear this with pride. We were given this through all of history, and I've done some collaborations, and there were some photos that I posted where it's got potential tattoo designs. Nick was super excited. He's like, "You're getting this, aren't you?" And I said, "Yes, I am." I said, "It's really important for me because I feel that I am stepping into the warrior side." So for me, I still call myself a footballer, not a fighter, but I was born a warrior, and there's a total difference. And that's why I come back to there's athlete fighters, there's crazy fighters, but I truly just believe that I'm born a warrior. I'm Maori. I am born a warrior. This is my art. Like, fighting is in our blood. So for transitioning into a Maori, I'm already Maori as hell, boy. But being able to show that on the outside and being able to show that and wear it with pride, that's the transition that is happening and will be happening, from after this first fight. I really feel, and I've always told myself once I got into fighting, that if I was to make this, if and when I would make this level, that's what, I feel like that's the custom and that's a tradition, and I love traditions and I love being able to uphold that. Not even that, having people and having society and culture not want Maoris to be covered in tamoko. I feel that it's even more of an FU, and to make sure that I'm honoring my ancestors, I'm honoring my lineage, and having all of the tattoos. So maybe not a transition like a transgendering into a Maori, but it's more the honoring and stepping into oneself. This is one of the biggest stages in the world. How can you not say that in some way you've kind of like honored like your path into being that, and by doing that, I truly believe that it's time to be tattooed up. It's time to get skinned. whether I want to or not, it's honor, it's honor and tradition, and that's more important to me. It's more important to keep that going.
Yeah, and from the research I did, every Maori like person's tattoos are unique.
Yes.
And they have their own specific meaning. So there's not going to be like any replicas necessarily. So talk to me about what your specific sort of design is going to look like, and like what is the meaning behind that.
I'm still learning mostly a lot of the meanings. I actually have it here. So I've got Maori tattooing.
Oh wow!
But I came from a dream. I woke up from a dream and I saw myself, and I had all of my thighs around my bottom up to my hips, and I had these tattoos, and I thought, this is very interesting. Why would I dream such a thing? So I started researching, and it talked about this area being mostly for males, and very few women in history were ever cited with that on their legs, which made me believe that I was even more special, that maybe in a past life, or maybe that's what my ancestors are telling me, that's what I was to get. Now, within a week, I had a Maori collaborator reach out and say, hey, I want to design you something. And I said, awesome, I just had a dream. And I was like, my dream was it was on my thighs. He comes back with the photo, and it's literally, it is down to the detail, like every line was exactly what I was standing in. Now, I'm sure a lot of people are thinking, oh, whatever, but hey, if that's my dream and that's my vision, and then all of this kind of fulfolds, I really, that's the path, and that's the sort of energy, and that's how I've always followed in my life. Like for everyone, they've always been like, you tie your heads in the clouds. And yeah, they're fucking right. It is in the clouds. And that's where I like to live and dream and make dreams a reality. So yeah, for me, I'm still learning a lot about that. And I'm really lucky that there's a lot of two tattoo artists actually that I want to be working with, who can give me more of the spiritual deepness of it, and be able to do the correct ceremony. But yeah, for me, I know that it's up my thighs. That's going to be the first one, and I really, for me, I feel that's me pulling my armor on and stepping into oneself and standing strong, because hell, that's what I've had to do my whole life. So yeah, I feel that just having that extra shield is really going to help my soul.
Absolutely, yeah. How long of a process is that going to take? I assume that you're going to go in different pieces and at different times, but overall, how long do you think the process is going to take?
I think it's going to take a few days. And what I have learned is that through that time, I'm not meant to feed or drink myself. It's because it is a ceremony, so people will come to honor that time and honor this tradition, and they come in, and they feed you, and they give you water and drinks. So I'm actually really looking forward to that, and putting a call out at the same time, and just being able to tell everyone that this is the location, this is where I'm going to be doing it, and give a bit more information, and just see who kind of comes down to honor that sort of ceremony. I'm really hoping that one of the guys can either fly over to Thailand, just because this is where I've built my little base here. I've got a lot of family still in New Zealand, obviously, and people who I call family still in America as well. But yeah, I think the ceremony the tattooing will definitely take a couple of days. The detail and how large, the larger surface it is, yeah, definitely a couple of days.
And is there a timeline?
Oh, sorry, what was that?
No, go ahead.
I'm also super lucky. One of my friends owns Shillong Ink as well, so I just got told today that they would love to finish the tattooing on my hands for my knuckles, because obviously we're a bare knuckle fighter now. Time to get the knuckles finished. So they're going to be finishing those designs. So I don't know. I think having just my hands covered in, I guess what you'd say, like the white man tattoo, and just keeping that to the hands, and the rest of my body, I really only want the traditional, because I've actually never been a tattoo person. So, yeah, shout out to Shillong Ink, and then shout out to the Maori boys. They're on my Instagram. You guys, everyone can go and check all their art out. Right now, one is touring, I think it was like the Netherlands, and then the other guy is still out in New Zealand. So yeah, these guys, they're fucking crazy. Like, that's a different art in itself.
Yeah, it really is. And it's really just interesting to see. I've never really been that much of a tattoo person, at least for me, but like looking at them, it's really interesting, especially with like the Maori tattoos and how they are very unique and all of that. But
yeah, like on your face, like one half is for the mother's side, one half is to represent the father's side. Like each placement is like occupation, where you are in the tribe. Your chin is always your mana. Like there's meaning behind each line. Like each line is a story. So that's what I mean. That's why I'm saying, like, it's like your soul is now on your skin. So now you can walk around for people, and they can see what you represent. There's such power in that. That's why anyone gets tattoos, whether even someone who just goes and colors their entire body black. Like, okay, cool. This person is wanting to be seen and has cut his tongue in half. Like, this person is now, like, that's how they've seen themselves, and they walk with pride like that. And I really think there's, you know, society doesn't want us to look a certain way. We're kind of conditioned to think we need to act like this, talk like this, get a job, be married, like do all these things. And that's great for people who have followed that and that's in their heart. But there's still a lot of people who that isn't the conditioning, and that isn't the life, or what's like aligned with who they even are as a person. So I feel that tattoos, clothes, makeup, like that's all such a representation of things that we can't verbally see, going, this is me, like this is who I am. And I feel that in those ways, like that's even a haircut, like you're showing people who you are. You're able to express. It's an expression, and expression is freedom, and expression really, I feel, allows people to be, I don't know, it's like your avatar becomes depressed and sad. And I think like your body feels those things when you're not being your true self.
yeah, man, on that note, I think we'll end it there. But before I let you go, I want to give you the floor. How can people follow you on social media? How can people keep up to date with everything that you're doing leading into the fight and obviously after the fight?
Everything for me is all on Instagram. That's TAI_EMERY. From there, you can check out my linker. I've got the OnlyFans. Fight week, I'm going to be going live and going all the way up until the red point, where you can see behind the scenes. You're going to watch weight cut, be there at media day, so anyone can tune in. I think that's like just something different for people to be able to come along for the journey. I think that's important for me to really show everyone for the rest of my career. Come along for the show, like come along for the shit show. Enjoy, be inspired, don't be inspired, laugh, cry, do whatever you want. But yeah, make sure that you can see from there. They can go into the BKFC app. That's where they can support not just me, but every BKFC fighter, no matter what country they're from. So BKFC app, BKFC Thailand, BKFC.com, which is America. Yeah, that's where you can find any information that you want on me on the Instagrams, or either under BKFC, because that's the family now, and yeah, on the OnlyFans.
This has been Tai Emery. She's fighting at BKFC Thailand 3 on September 3rd. Tai, thank you so much for your time and best of luck in your fight.
Thank you so much. Cheers, mate.
Absolutely. Take care.